been given access to receive messages of clarity, guidance, and love. As channeler, psychotherapist, and author, Noemi Grace has an intimate dialogue with the divine on your behalf. Lisa Berry, creator of the show Light on Living, will be co-hosting as live callers ask their burning question on self-love, self-healing, deepening relationships, areas of struggle, and next steps. By simply listening in, you're receiving wisdom that will lead to sacred stability from every channeled message that Noemi delivers. Join us now as we give you access to angels and grace.
Oh, goodness. Hello, everybody. It's lovely to be here. Noemi and myself are just always happy to show up and do these beautiful shows that help everybody. Hello, Noemi.
Oh, hello, Lisa. Oh, it's just, yes, it's so nice even today because I'm not working. So this is like a super pleasure in between just relaxing and connecting here and sharing. And so really happy to be here. And, our topic today has to do with receiving. And, this is a season where some people focus a lot on receiving and others focus a lot on giving. And yet is an opportunity for us to receive and receive in different ways than we normally receive.
Yes, I feel like I wanted to have a toolbox, like a tool bag beside me for the start of the year. What we often do through all of our tool bags, like used to fix this and fix that, when meanwhile, receiving is a tool that we often forget. And that's why we've titled this today, How to Prioritize Receiving and Bask in Healing. And it sounds like you're basking quite a bit today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's definitely a basking day. And speaking of prioritizing, I have been making it a priority to bask at least for 5 minutes, if not more, sometimes 20, sometimes just simply purely bask in receiving divine love in the morning. And sometimes at different points throughout the day, it has been so transformative and freeing and sweet. So, yeah.
Yes. And actually this morning, I'm really, this has never happened this early, but some of the questions that were swirling around it, because I've been chatting about, prioritizing receiving. I've already got a couple questions that came through just for feeling it. And so we're going to really have Noemi really communicate for us today, because she's going to tune in and talk to the divine and ask for some messages. But Noemi, what I'll do is I'll share our show description for today, because I really, it's so powerful. Even the title, I'm going to repeat, because I think that we often don't even think about, prioritizing receiving. Well, that sounds selfish. So let's get that right out of the way. And so we can really open people's hearts to receiving this. Mm-hmm. So how to prioritize receiving and bask in healing. Have you ever considered that you can heal the unhealable through receiving instead of doing? We often focus on the work of healing, and the ego can interfere with this process. The ego tries its best to protect us from triggering past traumas or creating what it sees as future traumas waiting to happen. To protect us from those wounds and fears which are too painful to be with, the ego erects a wall around them. We don't even notice the wall, though, because it forms the boundaries of our comfort zone. But with all that protection, it interferes with the work of healing. Healing work often consists of pushing through those boundaries and digging with healing tools. Instead, we can stay where we are. Oh, I love that part so much. We can receive divine love and allow it to soften those wounded places and heal them. This replaces the fear, struggle, and pain of healing work with the power of basking, saturating, receiving, and allowing. So, Noemi, just in this beautiful, we don't have to go anywhere. I think that's the thing. We want to go find a tool. We got to do this and push, dig, dig, and just to sit, to be, and allow, and allow that saturation. I have to talk to you about this word saturation, because this is something that you came up with from the pre-channeled. And to saturate, why is it so important when we saturate and soften?
Are you asking me? Is this a rhetorical question, or are you asking me to answer this question?
I'm just asking.
Or are you going to answer it?
You.
Okay.
You had such a lovely a lovely way of when we talked about the saturation. I thought I'd ask you to deliver that.
Oh yes, and it in the pre-channeled message, that's where this came through. Is like a few drops of water in dry soil is not going to be enough to nourish, to nurture, to help something grow and stay healthy. And so just a few drops of receiving of divine love, of receiving healing, of that few drops is not going to be sufficient. It's like allowing ourselves the space and the time to saturate, to bask and saturate and receive and fill up our tanks of good stuff, our tanks of love and healing and all of this that then we can then use throughout the day. So for me, I love to bask in the saturate in the morning, get really saturated, and then as the day goes by, depending on what it entails, it starts to dry out a little bit, and then I'm like, oh yes, bask. So
yes, I love that, and the plant is just such a beautiful analogy for us all. When we think this, we think, yeah, like the few little drops. Well, they're lovely. They're lovely drops. It's on their way, but we really do need to just bask, saturate, and bask. And you know what? I don't know. Why don't we jump into the pre-channel message then?
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. Just gonna grab that swig of water. I do love this message, and this came from a conversation or a question I asked the divine on a walk, and because I was noting that for myself and for others, and for most of us, we can heal really deeply, but there's like a point. There's this place that's like do not disturb sign there of where there's that little piece that just doesn't get healed because we don't want to go there. So, and it's so subconscious probably too. It's not necessarily as consciously I refuse to go there. So this is the gentle, transformative power of divine love. We appreciate each one of you, and we see each of you as you truly are, whole, healthy, and filled with your uniquely loving light. And it is in the spirit of appreciation that we're sharing these words with you. Many of you are committed to your healing work. You desire to heal deeply and prioritize your healing work, and we are grateful to each of you who is willing to heal and embraces the courage to heal. We have observed you working diligently in your inner work, and we have noticed that many of you clear and heal from many hurts and wounds up to a point. It's as if you have established a wall, a line of demarcation beyond which you will not go because it feels too painful or scary. Some of you spend your whole lives healing up to that point. If new wounds occur, you heal up to that line and never cross it, and thus you never feel fully free of your past, nor free to be fully you. It is in the embracing of all that you are fully free, and you cannot discover all of who you are if you don't dive deeply into you, which requires you to go beyond that do not cross line. The best way to get past your past is with divine love. This doesn't require that you dig up everything planted in the soil of your hearts, but it does require that you saturate yourself in divine love. Saturation, not digging, is the key to fully freeing yourself through the gentle strength and power of divine love. And I asked, how can we do this? Simply spend time with us and bask in our love and allow it to saturate you. The best healing power is found in divine love. Most of you, even those of you who consider yourself to be spiritual, make little time to receive our love. If you want to grow plants in a dry soil, you need to pour more than a few drops of water onto that soil. You need to give it enough water to fill in the cracks and start to seep in. Just as a few drops of water is not enough for most things to grow, a few drops of divine love received in haste between many tasks in a busy schedule is not enough to heal. If you were a farmer, you would prioritize You would make your crops one of the most important things in your life, and you would set aside time and resources for your crops to receive sufficient water. Similarly, you must receive in your heart enough divine love to saturate you and begin the process of healing those parts of you that have been untouchable. Divine love starts at the surface just as water does, and if you wish to be saturated, you must keep receiving. When you make it a priority to spend time in receiving us, our love starts to break down the wounds that have caused your heart to hurt or become heavy. And unlike the rain, our love will never become a damaging torrent. Our love nourishes you. It is a gentle, healing force. If you have deep healing work to do, help yourself out by gently receiving our love. Make space in your life to receive. The more you receive, the more our love penetrates those areas that you have kept walled off from others and even yourself. If you prioritize receiving our love and carve out time every day to receive more love, over time our love will penetrate all of you and heal all of you. Yes, you may benefit from working with a healer in addition to receiving our love, which will melt all resistance and soften every hard spot as it goes, but you do not need to dig out what is buried deep inside you to free you. You can simply receive so much of our love that it completely saturates you and on its own starts to heal those areas that you have locked up, that you have been ashamed of or found too painful to look at. And then one day you will be surprised to discover that that part of you doesn't hurt as much, and that you are no longer feeling angry, betrayed, abandoned, humiliated, and so on, all by receiving our love and letting it saturate you. Learn to stop all the busyness, the doing, and receive. As you receive, allow and invite divine love to transform your life. The more you receive divine love into you and bask in it, the easier all of your healing work becomes. For many of you, this receiving, saturating, is the missing key to transforming your entire life and freeing yourself. And we invite you to stop, receive, and ask for our help, which is always available to guide our love to where you need it. Our assistance magnifies the healing work of divine love. Receiving, basking, and saturating yourself in divine love and asking for and receiving our help has the power to heal you from everything, especially in conjunction with a healer who has also transformed their life through divine love. With much more to say, we are complete for now. Namaste.
Always such beautiful messages that come through. I just love that one. I think a lot of people resonated with the up to a point, and what came up for me, Noemi, as a question there, is how do we know what that point is? Like I'm walking through my life and I've healed up to a point. Do I sit and ask? And am I asking, like, can I go further? Like, what would be a procedure or a technique, or what would we do to realize what point we're hitting and then to go further?
Yeah, good question. I mean, of course, we can ask the divine after commercial, but for me, I think just knowing that do not cross line is there, knowing that there is a place that's been so protected and walled off that hasn't been healed because it's been too, it's like walled off. It's been too, I guess it's that line of demarcation. There is that line. And so we don't necessarily have to know where it is, knowing that it is there, and just having that desire to heal that part that's been too painful to heal, that part that we haven't even necessarily been aware of sometimes. Sometimes we're not aware of it because we've so effectively walled it off. And so it's out of our conscious awareness. And so I don't know that we have to know exactly where that line is. The willingness recognizing that there is a line and the willingness to go beyond that line with divine love and with the help of divine and maybe a healer or however it is that works best for each one of us.
I like that. And I like the a desire to heal a painful part.
Hey, at least I can barely hear you.
Oh, my goodness.
Like I have earbuds on and I hear myself loud, but then maybe because I hear myself anyway, so I don't know.
Oh,
I can
that's
change,
better there.
I can do my there.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Hold on. I just with
Okay, it's me. Then I'll just move my volume up on my headphones. Sorry about that, Lisa. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no problem. No. I'm loving the desire to heal a painful part, because sometimes painful can mean no attention. So when we're feeling numb, or that we're just like, no, don't look. That's the do not cross line. That's painful too. It doesn't mean it's just always ouchy and a reactive state. It can also be a place not tended to.
Yeah, and you use that word numb, and yeah, when we're numb to something, it's still pain. I had oral surgery. I had all my wisdom teeth removed when I was like 25, and after that, my chin was numb for several months, and it hurt. Numb was not a state of no feeling. It hurt to be numb, and I'm fully recovered. But it was several months that my skin, my chin was just numb, and it was like really so uncomfortable to be numb.
Oh, yes, I can see that, and we're not using it. So when it's numb or painful, we tend not to use it because we don't want to be in more pain. So we kind of just neglect or forget or are annoyed by it. So, okay, one of the questions that came through, we're going to go to commercial break, but this is perfect timing as a follow-up on that when we come back, because I've got a juicy question to ask you, Noemi, so that you can ask Source for us. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
We'll find out when we come back from commercial what that juicy question is.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
My loves, you know you're here as a soul-led leader to transform this world through the sharing of your passions and gifts. You are here to be in your warrior of light and align your business with your highest self. I'm Rosalind Fung of the show Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Let's elevate your business to the next expansive level. I invite you to flow into a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalindfung.com. That's ROSALYN, fun as in have some fun, FUNG, and let's see how I can best hold space for you to align your highest self, magnetize your dream clients, and monetize on your soul mission. I can't wait to connect.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Do you feel like your emotions are all over the place? That's normal during this abnormal time. There are a number of ways to cope. Maintain a healthy routine, get enough sleep, eat nutritious food, and exercise at least 30 minutes each day. Schedule some time to talk with a friend or family member. And remember, you can always take a few deep breaths to feel more centered.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Alrighty. Okay, so back here on Access to Angels and Grace, the title here is Prioritize Receiving and Bask in Healing. And Noemi, something that really was strong that came through, and I thought, oh my gosh, let's ask the question, and we can discuss it first, and then we can have you go in. But the question that came up is, what is the healing in receiving? And just to give a little bit more on that, when we prioritize receiving, so we're like, all right, I'm prioritized, I'm receiving, and then there's healing in it, and you're like, well, what is the healing? And a couple things that came up was worthiness. Being back into the flow, that's healing. Removing a block of sort and having a solution, and feeling connected and not alone. But does that question kind of make sense to you? Like, what is the healing in receiving?
I think it's a great question. I've never even considered or conceptualized that at all. But what is that healing? Is it some kind of? Is it different than what we might think of as standard healing, whatever that is, or typical healing? What is that healing that we receive in receiving? That we receive in receiving. So that's a really, and through basking, right? Through basking and saturating, right? What is the healing that we receive through basking and saturating is sort of how I understand that question. Yes. Is that what you meant?
Yes. Perfect. Yes.
Wow. It's like, all of this information, like that channel, the pre-channel message came out of me asking a question. And then these questions that you tap into a deep place in your intuition to get. It's like when we, it opens us up to have these questions that are not our everyday question. Like, yes. Where's my stuff, or what's happening here? It's I love it.
I actually love that you just said that. It's not our everyday questions. That is, to me, that's what basking is. We're basking in being guided to this, past the ceiling, past the do not cross this line, by asking these non-everyday questions.
Yeah. And actually in my book, An Intimate Dialogue with God, the Miraculous Power of Unconditional Self-Love, that there's a line in there that says the healing journey accelerates through asking better questions. No more, why is this happening to me, and how come, and all of that, but asking those better questions, those higher questions like we're asking here, that accelerates the healing journey. So that was something that I heard years ago, but, understanding a little bit more today at a deeper level, which is always wonderful. Okay. Anything else before I go in?
Sorry, just because you caught me there on that one. I loved it. Understanding at a deeper level. And so in that question that you're going in with, what is the healing that we're receiving as we bask, and to help us understand it. I'm putting a high order in here, tall order. How can we, if they could help, if we could be helped to understand at a deeper level?
I'm sure they can help.
You're so confident. I love it.
Oh, and them, not me.
Yes.
In them being the divine, which my understanding of source is a oneness. So not a one, it's a oneness, not a one being that is singular, but a oneness. So that's why I say they rather than, and it also sidesteps the he, she stuff and all of that. So, but to me, it's a oneness, not a being that separate. I understand as singular, so. Yes. So I am sure the divine will love to help. And so let's grab that swig of water again. It's so interesting when I channel, it really dries out my throat. But this is really wonderful. And so if this is your first time listening, I'm going to take a couple seconds to go deeper in that connection with the divine, and then greet them and turn it over to Source, and they're going to run with the question. And I have no idea what they're going to say, but I know it'll be loving, it'll be full of grace, and it will be helpful. So, all that said, and I said to Divine, are you up to the task? And they start laughing. So, with all that said, so grateful to be able to serve in this way. So, Divine, hello, Divine. What is the healing that we can receive through basking and saturating? And how can we be helped to understand at a deeper level? We do love this question. It is a question of an eager heart and an open mind and a soul that is yearning to be whole on a whole new level. And so we really appreciate this question. And it all does start with the willingness to bask, to simply receive, to simply be present to receiving, and to receiving divine love, divine grace, divine life, divine wisdom, divine joy. There are so many aspects and attributes that we can gift you with if you're open to receiving, and divine healing. And so the healing that you receive through that basking and saturation, we call it divine healing because it is coming through the divine channel, from the divine to you. You may heal yourself and have a self-healing, and you may work with someone that helps you to heal and have a healing coming through the channel from the healer or the practitioner to you. And there is that channel. This is the channel from Source, all the way from Source. And in here, now you may have a healer that also taps into that channel, and then we magnify the healing work that you would receive through the healer. So this is not always exclusively only divine in you, although, and there's no exclusivity in divine in you, because we are fully inclusive. We include all, we exclude no one. So there isn't an exclusivity to that, but it can be you with a healer, with someone else, a practitioner, with a therapist, with a nurse, with anyone who is connected that has the ability to heal and connected to this channel through which we are pouring forth our love, which has ultimate healing power. This is, our love is like a healing salve that you put on the wound and accelerates that healing. And the more that you receive, the deeper you will heal. The more that you will receive, we would say the quicker, but we know how you humans can measure things in terms of time and clocks and calendars, and we're not saying that kind of quicker. We're saying that it quickens the healing, it deepens the healing. And so you are able to heal without struggling, without striving, without hurting. Healing does not have to hurt. There are many experiences that you've had where healing hurts. And sometimes the hurt is unavoidable, but it doesn't have to hurt all the time, and it doesn't have to hurt to the depth that so much is being hurt. Healing should not be a root canal. It should not be something that is excruciating. And so with love, there is no excruciation. With love, with that receiving, this is a healing of light, a healing of high vibration. It is as if you've been in a sound bath and you receive all of that sound, and in that vibration, when you leave, you feel a little freer. You feel a little more whole. You feel a little bit lighter. And it is the vibrational healing of the divine, which is the highest vibration, divine love. Receiving that into you is like a sound bath, magnified and intensified in so many orders of magnitude. And so that healing comes in, and it's a soothing healing. It is a gentle healing that brings wholeness with it. It is a gentle healing that is complete in and of itself, that will bring you into completion. And it is a gentle, kind, loving, wise healing that opens your mind to understand things that you did not understand, to see things differently, to see how you've been wounded differently. So the healing is of the heart and of the mind and of the soul, and you heal all of those. And yes, the healing is also of the body. So on every level that you can experience pain, divine love can heal. It is not a modality for one level. It is a universal healing force that is gentle and complete and full and powerful. And we will rest here. And so we also understand that you asked about a deeper understanding. So Noemi reminded us, so we will rest here, but we will say one more thing. This deeper understanding is understanding not with the mind that is attached to ego, but understanding with the mind that is opened through the divine, through love, through grace, through receiving us and receiving yourself. And this deeper understanding comes simply from receiving, not from studying, not from memorizing, but from receiving. When you receive the healing, as we already said, you understand in a different way how you became wounded, how you became injured, how you became hurt. And in that process, you help free yourself even more. And it is a wonderful multi-layered healing that we have for you at every moment of every day, always gifting. Are you always receiving? In great love, we're complete. Namaste.
Ooh, so Noemi, I had to chuckle when you said, "Oh, Noemi reminded us," and I could imagine the little thing going, Noemi going, "No, wait, you haven't answered this." I giggled. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I'm so glad that you did. Thank you, because understanding at a deeper level is not with the mind. Oh, and it comes from receiving. Woo! I'm so glad you went back in.
Yeah. And usually I don't even remember the question, but somehow it was that that collaboration between the divine and I, where I did remember the question. I said, did you answer about the deeper? They were in the middle of Namaste, and I was like, hey. So
yeah. I just love that healing without struggle. Healing doesn't have to hurt. This is such a misconception. My goodness, like we think, well, no, it didn't hurt, so I haven't healed. And I loved that it was said about a complete healing versus, because it reminded me of that line that we come up across, like, okay, I've healed up to here, and I'm good. I don't want to go any further because it's going to hurt. But that a complete healing is a healing without struggle. It doesn't have to hurt. It may be present. It may exist. But it's, I just loved that. That was so good.
Yes, I loved it too. And it was such a, wherever the wound is, receiving and basking can heal, can go a long way towards healing it. And so, and I also find it interesting that they're not saying, both in the pre-channel message and in this, that they're not saying, all you need to do is sit in 24/7 and bask and receive and we will heal everything. They're also saying that you may be with a healer or practitioner or someone who has done the healing work for themselves and received a deeper level of healing, that channel. I remember them talking about the channel, that channel this from source, that you can have you and then a practitioner in there. So I find it interesting because, that they're not making this bold claim of like, just receive our love, we'll heal you from everything. And I think that it's also, I think, because they want to emphasize the relational aspect of being human and being connected with the divine and each other. But that's my interpretation of it. But I just found it so interesting that they didn't say that.
I actually wrote down divine healing, self-healing, practitioner healing. Yes, because that was something that stood out to me. Because we can't, to do it on our own, or just to, just sit and receive. Sometimes I love that the channel was really highlighted in this message, because it's always there, it's always on, and it made me think of I go to a water spring here to get my water, and the water's always pouring out, and it's when I go to fill up my water that I'm able to receive it, but it is always flowing. And I had this image of
How
that.
Wonderful! You get spring water. Wow,
Yes!
That's such a great. That is a great metaphor for it. It's always flowing. It's like the divine, always flowing. But until you go and bring your jug to the spring, you're not getting that water. To receive, you're not receiving that water. You might receive other water that comes out of your tap, but it's not that water, which is clearer and cleaner and however tastes better or whatever, the attributes are. So yeah, that's a great example.
Now, I know we're going to go to commercial in just 30 seconds here. I would love to come back and just talk, just because I thought it was fascinating and it felt good to be reminded of sound baths and bathing in vibration from divine love. So could we share some stories? And I know there's a question swirling around. It just hasn't come there yet. But I know that when I'd love to talk about that if we could when we come back from commercial break.
Oh, yeah, I love sound baths. Okay.
Ooh,
sounds
okay.
good.
So we've got some experience sharing when we come back out here on Access to Angels and Grace.
I've received, yes.
Yes.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Oh, you know what? Jumping into sound baths. This is so exciting. I think at this time of the year, Noemi, because we're heading up the end of 2021, and I know that a lot of people to bring in the new year, if you're celebrating that, they like to have a cleansing of sort, invite new vibration, enjoy music. And to me, when you said sound bath, I thought yes, and you're. It's a vibrational healing of the divine, is what was said there when you were channeling. And for you, does it have to be so grandiose and like a big event, or do you do regular sound bathing, sound healing?
I mean, I have a singing bowl, but I have to confess that I don't use it that often. So for me, the sound baths have been events, and I have not been to one in a while because of COVID, yes. and just making different choices. But sometimes I will listen to different YouTubes or things like that are sound bathy. So it's not the same as having it come from all the directions of the room and being in that room. But for me, it's just fun. And it's pure receiving. There's nothing to do but lay there and receive. It's like a form of meditation. So with sound and different sounds that are just each one having a vibration that's healing. So I liked how they brought the sound bath up as a vibrational form of vibrational healing, and that the divine healing is like that, magnified on many levels. It's that divine, it's a vibration, divine vibration, the vibration of source healing at that level. So yes. I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did. The most beautiful thing, and it was so matter-of-factly, and I loved it. It's pure receiving. You don't have to do anything other than allow. And that's, oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. And it's funny because I had this weird flash in my mind that I'm very sensitive to sound in my environment. And, my fellow here, he watches TV very loudly, and it really bothers me. And to me, it seems way louder than I think to him. And it's because what we are being bathed in. So sound bathing, it's you literally don't have to do anything. It's there. You're hearing it. So to hear sounds that are so beautiful and delivered to you with love and basking in that, I find it so important because our cells respond. We don't have to translate or understand. It is a vibration that we are receiving, good or bad, right? Or healthy or not healthy. So this to allow a flow, isn't that is that something? Well, maybe this could be a channeled question actually. If beautiful healing sounds, vibrations, and music and things like that are being delivered to us, how can we prioritize the receiving of that? How can we make better choices to be in an environment to receive these sounds?
Let me see if I understand your question. So, elaborate on sound healing or vibrational healing. Really,
vibrational healing. I
bringing
think,
that sound healing as a form of vibrational healing. So, how can we? Let's see.
Because that's a part of basking, I think.
Yeah. So how can we? I just feel like the question is a little bit different. Like it's in the vibration or
Yes. Oh, how can we prepare our soil? Because we are the soil. So maybe that question is too, how do we allow to, how can we prepare so that saturation can occur? That we don't see.
Oh, that is a really great question. That's a great question. We've, even though it rains a lot, I live in the northeast of the U.S. and where you live too, it rains a good amount. It's not a rainforest, but it rains a good amount. But, some summers we've had these droughts and then we've had torrential rain come in, like 2 days of rain, and it doesn't get saturated by the soil. It's too much. It just runs off, and we're still in a drought after we've had, several inches of rain. And so, because the soil, I guess, is not prepared, it can't receive it. It's too dried out. And so...
oh my gosh, I'm loving this because sometimes we don't do anything and then we finally went, oh, right, let's do this. But then we cannot receive it. We are not prepared. Oh, it's a good question. Yes.
I could feel like the question wanted to be deeper. And I was just like, okay. So how can we prepare so saturation can occur when we bask? We bask or receive the bask, and I don't know, we'll throw vibration in there somewhere. We bask in vibration, vibrational healing, or I don't know. I like the word vibration so somewhere like that, they know what we mean. That's the good thing about working with divine. The divine sometimes knows what I mean or we mean when we don't know what we mean, or we really aren't saying what we mean for whatever reason. So, okay. Give me a second here.
Okay.
I am loving this question. I'm excited to hear what they're going to say. And we too are excited to share. Well, they just took right over it. No trans. Anyway, sorry, Divine. No need to be sorry, they say. So we too are excited to share. We are excited at your willingness and your interest to understand how can you receive more? How can you transform more? How can you saturate more? How can you prepare? What an excellent question. How can you prepare? And yes, preparation is needed. And yet, on some level, no preparation is needed. You can always dive in to the divine. You can dive into source. That spring that Lisa mentioned where she gets her water is always there. You can always dive in. But there's preparation. Unless you want a couple sips, better bring that jug. Better bring a vessel to receive. And how can you prepare your vessel to receive? And so we ask that you become aware of the idea and of the willingness and the ability to prepare yourself, because you do have the ability to prepare yourself. And so stopping what you're doing, stop saturating in social media and news and gossip and all the things, all of the communication of your world that is so easy to saturate in. Take a break from it. Put it down and breathe. How do you prepare? Breathe. Breathe more deeply. Don't breathe the shallow breath. Noemi Grace tells her clients it's the death breath, when there's barely any breath coming into your breath, any air, any oxygen. And so breathe. Stop. Breathe. Be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself to move into the present moment, because receiving can only be experienced. Receiving can only be received in the present moment. All that you wish to receive, the only place you can receive it is in the present moment. So stop. Put aside everything that is occupying you. Put it aside and create a buffer between those things and the receiving. And you create that buffer through the breath. Receive. Receive the oxygen, receive the love, receive our compassion, our grace, our light, our goodness. Receive in with the breath, and consciously putting your attention on the receiving of the in-breath and on the releasing of the out-breath. You don't necessarily have to put your attention on, I'm releasing fear, I'm releasing this and that, and there is certainly benefit to doing that, but it's really great to just release. I release whatever doesn't serve me, whatever is not for my highest good. I release what is not compatible with divine source, divine love, with the highest me. And so allowing yourself to release and receive. And so the receiving comes joint together with the releasing of all that is in the way of receiving and all that is just there. And there's a lot at the surface. And we're not talking about the deep stuff that you need to release that deep wound before you can receive. No, but there's a lot of stuff at the surface, all the stuff that occupies your mind, all the where your attention goes, where it's scattered to. Releasing all that with the breath and receiving, starting to receive with the breath. And receiving a little bit more with the breath. And then bringing forth your intention for healing, for clarity, for wisdom, for joy, whatever it is. Ask, divine, please bring me joy. And Noemi Grace, she just says, more love, more joy. She just calls it out. And yes, I do. And we just ask whatever it is that you wish to receive. Ask, simply ask. And in that asking is an opening, a greater and greater opening. So simply consciously release. Again, you don't need to be conscious of what you're releasing, but choose to release. And then ask. And in that asking is an opening for receiving. And then as you do that, you're preparing the soil of your heart. As you are releasing and letting go, not with struggle, but with the simplest thing of the exhale of the breath, letting it go, letting us take it away as if the breath was a big wind that could blow it away. And you don't need a big, huge breath to do that, but with the intention and the asking for our help and the willingness to let it go. And as you start to let go of all these things on the surface, all of these things that preoccupy you, all of these things that occupy you and consume your mind and your hearts and your souls, and you let go of all of that stuff which is not important to receiving, and much of it is not all that important, but there's so much information out there, there's so much data out there, there's so much news out there, and people saturate in that rather than saturating in the receiving. And so let it go, exhale it, and simply receive it. Release and receive. Release and receive. It is a cycle. It is 2-part breath. There is no only breathing in, breathing in without any exhale. That won't last very long. So release and receive. And there you are preparing yourself as you gently release, just as the gentleness of an exhale, and you gently receive as the gentleness of an inhale. And so much can be received in that simply releasing and receiving. So much transformation can occur, and so much preparation, and so much magnification of the receiving and the healing. In great love, we are complete. Namaste.
If ever Source were to give a yoga class or a breathing class, that was it.
Source yoga. Yeah, that could be a new gimmick, right? Source yoga.
Hey, we just received a great idea. Who's in?
I'm not meaning it, but...
I love that. Release all that is in the way of receiving. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that. That's so true. And this was like so very instructional, like stop, breathe, a breath, ask and receive, and release what is not compatible with your higher you, the highest you. That's so helpful to prepare.
Yes.
Gosh, this is so good. So I have to come back to the release, and I was laughing at you can only breathe in so many times before you have to release. Like it's a two-way breath work here. This is a two-way thing. So preparing isn't just take in. It's not just prioritizing, receiving, but I think we prioritize giving because we think that's how we're going to get paid back. If we give. It's like this, give and take, but it really is a two-way thing. We really must prioritize this receiving to bask in this healing, and preparing for that saturation is so important in breath work. I couldn't think of a better way to help prepare.
Yeah. And just realizing that releasing, and it starts with that first releasing of putting down the devices and what we're occupying our minds with, because there's just so much. I mean, you could spend hours just consuming whatever, or more about one thing, because there's so much information out there. So just that conscious decision to put it all down and come present, because receiving only can be done. You can only receive in the present moment. That I loved.
Yes, and I do love the stop saturating in the things that block receiving.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah, that was you channeling that one.
That was the divine, but it was me too. Yes.
Yes. And I think often we can have a lot of beliefs. We're saturated in our beliefs that block receiving. We're saturated in, and those beliefs that we hold will draw us to other things that will continue that. Like what you said about social media, which we can start judging ourselves and others, or gossip, as was mentioned. And it's so like, what are we such? Because we're always prepared to be receiving. It's just, what is it we are receiving? And I like that little check-in. And yes, I love the buffer breath. We just need a little
that
room.
Was great. I never heard them use that.
We have death breath and buffer breath.
Yes,
forget bad breath.
They told me about, and I tell my clients that.
I love that. Well, we are wrapping up our final show of 2021, and I think it was a perfect one.
Yes.
Perfect topic.
Yes. Exactly. So come back on January 10th of 2022 and see how the divine is working with us to help us all start the new year in the best way, whatever that is. I don't think to source the one day is different from the next or 1 year is different than the next, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, yes, a different cycle perhaps, so that we all are recognizing and feeling. So we love when you tune in and share with us, and we love sharing these show descriptions because it really does prepare us to go in and have these shows. So if there's something that you are looking forward to hearing or learning more about or asking deeper questions, then we welcome you. You can always pop over to the Facebook pages or the OMTimes show, their page with their descriptions and everything, and so we can hear from you, and we'll be back. We'll be continuing, and we're going to jump into the new year all ready to go. So, Noemi, thank you so much
and
for sharing.
Gently. Just I see it sliding into the new year gently, rather than this big harsh jump for me. But it's just that gentleness. So have a fabulous new year. And we look forward to meeting with you again soon.
And thank you so much, Noemi. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you, Lisa, for being my partner in this. It's just such a beautiful flow between all of us. So
we love the access. Well, everybody, we'll see you in the new year. Bye, everyone.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening.